Hello students, this is Leah Hepburn. In front of you right now you should see a Microsoft Word document, and this is an argumentative research paper by the student Teal Pfeiffer, Professor Rashad. This is just a fake student, an example of a research paper. So we're going to be looking at this particular sample essay for the content and structure eventually, but for today we're actually going to be looking at it in terms of how it demonstrates MLA in-text citations and full citations on a works cited page. So over here in orange we have a discussion of, or points for a discussion for the structure and content, what it includes. And over here in blue, we have points about in-text citations and MLA style. So today we're going to be focusing on these blue comments over here. On another separate occasion, we'll be focusing on these orange ones. All right, so far in this class, we've covered MLA style, basic formatting, and basic formatting simply means the way the page looks. So we have our header up here with the last name of the student and the page number in Times New Roman size 12. Here we have our heading, student name, professor name, class name, due date in day, month, year. Everything is aligned to the left except the title, which is centered, and the first line of every paragraph is indented. So this is basic MLA formatting. On the other hand, or on the other side of MLA formatting, is documentation. And we have two parts for documentation in MLA style. We have full citations and we have in-text citations. So let's take a look at the full citations first, and then we'll go into the text. So full citations are placed on a separate sheet, separate page, all the way at the end of the essay, on what we call a works cited page. So here is the student's works cited page. Notice that it is on a completely separate page from the last page. Here's her last page, page 5. We have all this space, and on page 6, at the very top of page 6, we start our new works cited page. We have some formatting here that we'll get into later. I'll go into exactly how to create, how to center this text, how to create this hanging indent you see here. But really for today, I want you to focus on the content of this page. So separate page at the end, and we have a list of full citations. So we have one source, Liz Dietrich, two sources by Liz Dietrich, Mary Pfeiffer, third source, The Skinny on Media and Weight, fourth, Slim Hopes, fifth, Statistics, sixth, Naomi Wolf, seventh, Women Reading Magazines, eighth. So we have 8 sources listed here, and you can tell a different where one source begins and where the next ends based on the indentation. So unlike a paragraph, each of these full citations is actually indented in the opposite way. So the first line is not indented and the subsequent lines are indented. So these 8 sources are full citations. And we have specific guidelines for creating these full citations, and those guidelines can be found in your textbook. If you have the new version of the textbook, it begins on page 726. If you have the old version of the textbook, that list of guidelines should begin on page, I'm sorry, I actually have to look it up, I'm not prepared here. The list of citations in the old textbook is available to you starting on page 774. So if you have your textbook with you, turn to page 774, or then in the new version 726, and you'll see a list of different types of sources. So for instance, books by one author, books by 2 or 3 authors, books by more than 3 authors, an edited book, an anthology, essay in an anthology, and so on and so forth. And each of those items in that list contains an example and guidelines for creating these full citations, so what you're seeing here on this works cited page. Those examples, things to pay attention to, punctuation. Notice there's where periods are placed, notice where commas are placed, notice where colons are placed. Notice the format of the dates that are given. So day, month, year is the most common format. Notice which part of those guidelines is placed inside quotation marks and which parts are italicized. So you're using those guidelines in order to format your full citations properly. I want to go over this right here, this piece of text in particular here. There are 3 dashes here. And those 3 dashes are used to indicate that this source here, this about face facts on media, is by the same author as the source listed above it. So this about face facts on the media is written by Liz Dietrich. We have these 3 dashes instead of repeating her name in order to indicate that it is exactly the same person as the person who wrote the source above it. It is possible that we have 2 people named Liz Dietrich who wrote 2 different sources, and we might, by coincidence, use those 2 people's sources in our essay. So we need to indicate that this is the same person by using these 3 dashes. All right, let's go up here to the beginning of the essay again. And by the way, you should have this document listed online, so you can take a look at this at any time. All right, so in the second paragraph here, the student Teal starts to cite her sources, and this is where we get to the second half of documentation in MLA. So the first half was the works cited page. Now actually in the essay, while you're writing, you need to give credit to the sources on your works cited page. So we have here the first example. By age 17, a young woman has seen an average of 250,000 ads featuring a severely underweight woman whose body type is, for the most part, unattainable by any means, including extreme ones such as anorexia, bulimia, and drug use. Parentheses, and in quotations, the skinny. All right, so this citation here is what we call an in-text citation. And in-text citations correspond directly to the full citation on your works cited page at the end. So usually there are 2 pieces of information in an in-text citation. They indicate which source on the works cited page the writer refers to, and it explains where in the source the quoted, paraphrased, or summarized material can be found. Now for digital sources, so that's online books, online newspapers, online journals, online magazines, websites, or articles from an online database, most of the time they don't include page numbers. So the second part of that information, where in the source the material is from, a lot of times you're not going to have that. But if it is a print source or an article from a database that has page numbers, you will include a page number as well. So here we have, in quotations, the skinny. So let's take a look. Let's scroll back down to our works cited page and see which full citation this in-text citation refers to. So I'm back here at my works cited page, and I'm looking for the source that in-text citation refers to, and I see here this one that says the skinny on media and weight. Notice that there is no author listed, which means that Teal, the student, probably couldn't find an author, or a lot of times .gov websites don't include authors' names. So the author's name is omitted from this full citation. Because the author's name is omitted from the full citation, we can't then put an author name in our in-text citation. So Teal abbreviated this title and chose to just call it the skinny. Calling it the skinny really helps the reader identify which citation on this works cited list her in-text citation refers to, because it's the first 2 words of this title, and it's the first 2 words of the whole citation entry, this whole thing, first 2 words, the skinny. So that was helpful in order to identify which of those sources on the list she's referring to when she says the skinny. Notice that the punctuation, the period at the end of the sentence, is actually at the true end of the sentence. So a lot of times I see students place periods, for instance, there, but that's not the true end of the sentence, and periods need to go at the end. So instead of placing the period before the parenthetical citation, we actually place the period after, so Teal has done this correctly. The title, even though it's abbreviated, should still be capitalized and placed inside quotation marks, and around the whole title we have parentheses. There's no page number because, like I said before, a lot of digital sources don't have page numbers, so the page number is then omitted. Let's take a look at this other in-text citation here. So in 1950, the White Rock Mineral Girl